Hello, I'm Angela Woodhouse, Head of Policy, Communications and Governance at Maidstone Borough Council. This video is for candidates and agents to give you an overview of the electoral process and the count for the general election 2019. The video will cover who's who, key dates and things you need to know.
Introducing a candidates and agents briefing for the UK Parliamentary General Election 2019. This video will cover topics including key dates of the election timetable, who's who, the role of agents, the poll and contact details that you may require. Who's who? Alison Broom is both the Acting Returning Officer and Electoral Registration Officer for this election. Included in the next two slides of this presentation are some key dates for your information, including the deadline for registration to vote, postal deadlines and finally the date for return of election expenses. Emergency proxies. These are available if an elector falls ill or where the elector's occupation, service or employment means that they cannot go to the polling station in person, but only if after the deadline for new proxy votes. Applications must be made by 5 p.m. on polling day. Election agents must have been appointed by the 15th of November 2019. If you have not appointed an agent, you will become your own agent by default. You can also appoint other agents to attend postal vote opening, polling stations and the count on your behalf. All candidates are entitled to send one communication free of charge by Royal Mail to electors across the constituency. Please contact Royal Mail to make arrangements. Access to the electoral register. You can only use the data for completing the nomination form, helping you to campaign and checking donations. Registration. As a candidate, you are uniquely placed to encourage people to register to vote, and you should inform them that this should be as soon as possible. The deadline for applying for the election is the 26th of November 2019. Individuals can apply to register online, which only takes a few minutes to complete. When discussing registering to vote with individuals, you should make them aware that they will need their national insurance number, date of birth, and address to register. People who do not have or cannot retrieve their national insurance number can still register, but they may need to provide further information. If so, they will be contacted by the ERO. Absent voting. Only people who are already on the register to vote can apply for a postal or proxy vote. Campaigning do's and don'ts. Do use imprints on all your campaign material. Do comply with planning rules relating to advertising hoardings and large banners. Do make sure outdoor posters are removed 2 weeks after the election. Do not produce material that looks like a poll card. And do not pay people to display your adverts unless they display them as part of their normal business. The Code of Conduct for Campaigners. Full details can be found on the Electoral Commission's website. Code of Conduct for Campaigners regarding postal ballot packs. Never touch a postal ballot paper. Never observe electors completing their postal vote. Never handle or take any completed ballot paper or postal ballot packs from voters. Code of Conduct regarding campaigning outside polling stations. You are allowed to put your messages to voters on polling day, including in public spaces outside polling places. Keep access to polling places and the pavements around polling places clear to allow voters to enter. If there should be any complaints or allegations of electoral fraud, you should be prepared to give the police a statement and substantiate any allegations. You can also raise the matter with your election agent, local party, or with the returning officer. Maintaining your personal security is important. Kent Police have arranged drop-in sessions for candidates for you to discuss any security concerns you may have. Polling day. Polling stations will be open from 7 a.m. until 10 p.m. The Elections Office is open from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. for queries or problems relating to the administration of the election. If you should have any queries relating to the election finance issues, please contact the Electoral Commission. Voters in the polling station or in a queue outside the polling station at 10 p.m. can apply for a ballot paper. Postal votes can be handed into polling stations within the constituency or delivered to the Elections Office up until 10 p.m. that day. A person in a queue at a polling station at 10 p.m. waiting to hand in postal votes can do so after 10 p.m. We'd also like to remind you that there is specific guidance for tellers on the Electoral Commission's website. Tellers should concern themselves only with checking who is about to vote or has voted. They should not display or distribute election material in or around a polling station. Counting of votes. The count will be held at the Clive Empson Building, Kent Events Centre, Detling, Maidstone, ME14 3JE. The count centre will be open to candidates and agents from 9:45 p.m. Candidates, election agents, counting agents, and one other person appointed by the candidate are entitled to attend. Access to the count will be restricted. If you are not on the list, you will not be allowed to enter. Candidate spending. These are defined as certain expenses used for the purposes of the candidate's election during the regulated period. A person contesting a UK parliamentary election becomes a candidate on the date the UK Parliament is dissolved if their candidacy has been declared on or before that date. Other individuals are considered candidates on the date on which they are declared or nominated as a candidate. The regulated period is the day after the date you officially become a candidate. The spending limit is calculated by adding together a fixed amount and a variable top-up that takes into account the number of registered parliamentary electors in the constituency you are contesting. This table sets out the fixed amounts for a short campaign, along with a variable amount and the number of electors for each constituency. Candidates' spending returns. Returns are due 35 calendar days after the result of the election. Returns will be made public by the returning officer. A sample of returns may be reviewed by the Electoral Commission. Failure to submit an expenses return is a criminal offence enforceable by the police, and no spending will be reimbursed. Please note that no money spent on a campaign can be reclaimed from the Council or the Electoral Commission. If you should need any further information or help, here are some useful contact details.
Hopefully this has given you all the information you need. If you need any further help, please look on our website or contact the Electoral Services team. Thank you.